Well, hello, that's me again. Today is November 29th. It's Tuesday, and let's not procrastinate. Let's us get to the point immediately. As I am constantly on a record, and I will continue to do so. I will continue to insist on that. I will continue to state that keep your eyes on the larger picture, and that's what really matters. You do not want to constantly be overwhelmed by the minutia, those details which in the overall picture play some role, sometimes moderately significant, but do not represent the whole situation. The reason I'm saying this is because while definitely there are some Russian successes at, for example, Bakhmut area, and it was expected, you have to remember that, for example, Mr. Prigozhin, and I again I quoted him in my last video, and Mr. Prigozhin is the man who founded the Wagner Group, and he is now the wanted man on the FBI most wanted list. He stated again, reiterated, reinforced the point of view which I'm promoting, so to speak, for many months now, and it's not only me, that basically the main task of Russia is not to hold territory right now. It's to physically annihilate armed forces of Ukraine and those parts of the NATO troops which are directly involved in that operation, and Russia doing this extremely well. Again, if you want to see the, so to speak, elaboration on the details of that more or less, you are welcome always to see Brian Berletich or Colonel Douglas McGregor or Larry Johnson or Scott Ritter's analysis. They are very deliberate on that, and they're great sources on those people who want to hear this tactical elaboration, for example, like about the freezing on the ground for Russian possible offensive in December. So I gladly refer you to those wonderful people and good specialists. I want to concentrate on the larger things, and again, as you know, I write books on geopolitics at large. I mean, I wrote a book on the operational matters and tactical matters, which was called The Real Revolution in Military Affairs, but I can write the fourth one, probably will. Will be the part of my fourth book. But back to our goals, so to speak, immediately. As I already stated, Western elites, be them American, let alone European, which is altogether a pathetic sight to start with. The only thing they can do is to not develop policy or realistic policy or implement the policy. Only thing they can do is to spin. And while Europe commits, and I already hear the news that Europe commits the basically complete suicide, economic suicide, there are still some things which can tell you that basically, no matter how they try to play it, here it is, Europe still remains Russia's biggest diesel buyer, and you know what, for Russia it doesn't matter. Europe has the problem with that, obviously, if one considers geopolitical realities of Europe, which wants to kill Russia. And in this case, I can only quote Mr. Novak, the Minister of the Energy of Russian Federation, who stated and basically confirmed what have been stated before. If they want to install or make impose this price cap on Russian oil, Russia will stop supplying oil to anybody. Those who do the capping of the price. So, and that's Europe. So, well, if they want to, hey, nobody tells them not to do that. It's their choice. But to understand what those people are, let's take a look at Mr. Steinmeier. And Steinmeier is the president of Germany, Federal Republic of Germany. And if you look at what this guy actually talks about, it just, I guess you cannot kill the Nazi in German elite. It always will come through. And here's the guy who, he hates Russians. We know that most German elites, they hate, they're Russophobic, and they still cannot reconcile themselves with a lot of things. But look what he says. Deutsche Welle reports it that because to establish the ceasefire at this point in time would essentially condone all of the injustice that has already taken place, he said, with Russian forces still occupying parts of Ukraine, and truce now would allow Moscow to maintain its presence in these territories despite it being a violation of international law, he said, that cannot be the aim of the ceasefire. Hey, it's fine with Russia. If Mr. Steinmeier doesn't want to have a ceasefire, hey, it's fine, but he has to remember also that basically it's at this stage, Germany is being reduced to economic pipsqueak, and I'm on record. Russian economy is dramatically larger than that of Germany, not to speak about the military potential or scientific potential, but they still think that Germany is so great, that it, what can I say? I mean, these are the people you have to deal with in Europe. And Steinmeier is actually quite representative, together with his batshit crazy, pardon me, Annalena Baerbock and Mr. Scholz. And yeah, these are German elites. Germans elected them. They have to live with that. Russia views Germany as the existential enemy now. And this is how it's going to proceed. So Germany didn't learn shit from its basically what it did in the World War II, and they continue to live like that. So let them. Now, the reason I'm, however, after this brief review of those things, let me show you something which is extremely important, and which is extremely important in a much larger sense, and these are the things which usually make the news, but they never elaborate on them, because as I already stated, most of those elites, and especially media class, which is primarily stuffed with whores, they cannot really explain to you the main reasons. But let me show you something very important. It's much more important than what Russians do this every day in Bakhmut and whatever on the front in Ukraine, being in the strategic defense and just grinding and killing. I mean, the losses of the armed forces of Ukraine are just appalling. There are reports of hundreds of bodies being basically thrown out. Nobody even collects them. So, but here it is. Mr. Sullivan, I'm sorry, Mr. Ned Price, the spokesperson of the State Department, suddenly says that, and the United States complains yesterday that, oh my God, USS Russia abruptly postponed arms control talks. This is what State Department says. The United States is ready to reschedule at the earliest possible date, as resuming inspections is a priority for sustaining the treaty as the instrument of stability, the department said. It said had no details on why Russia wanted the postponement or when the talks might be rescheduled. And they expect from Russia a real solid answer as to why they postponed the meeting. Well, you already have the answer in this phrase from the State Department, but let me explain a little bit further. What is this all about? Mr. Ryabkov, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Russian Federation, today states, and he reiterates actually what State Department says nonchalantly as the matter-of-factly way, that, yeah, we want inspections. Let me tell you one thing. This is what Mr. Ryabkov says today. Yeah, we saw the only focus of the Americans exclusively on the topic of the resumption of the inspections in the framework of START Treaty. For us, however, the priority was and remains other questions, including the problems which are connected to the proper counting of the weapons. You must say, so what's the big deal? Well, let me explain what's the big deal. And this is the thing which I constantly try to reiterate. And again, I will be reminding you that it's not like I'm trying to basically represent myself as some kind of prophet or Cassandra. No, I'm just stating that pay attention to the larger details. The worry from the State Department and the United States, as represented by State Department, is understandable. Russia says simply, abruptly, just, stop this because they said, you know what, we're sick and tired of your bullshit. Because indeed, even Ned Price confirms that yesterday, and Mr. Ryabkov, the only thing which interests the United States party, so to speak, to this, are correctly inspections. That's it. They don't care about counting of the nuclear weapons. They do not really care about basically reducing of the strategic offensive weapons for a simple reason. They are so behind. They are actually probably a couple generations behind the United States in terms of the modern, advanced, basically strategic weaponry that The only thing they want are, obviously, they want inspections. Let me tell you what they want under those inspections. They do not want just to go and look at the good old, RS-26 Voyvoda, also known as Satan, all those, land-based or naval-based missiles. It's pretty conventional by now because, you can go, they can show you the Barret class SSBN from the afar. They can get you into some parts of the nuclear making capability of Russia, but the times of the 1990s is gone forever. And that's the whole thing. And this is the basically complaints and attempts to promote the American interest from the point of extreme weakness. As I already stated, United States doesn't have anything comparable to hypersonic strategic weapons such as Avangard. Of course, they would love to have their hands on Poseidon, and even what would really be interesting for them, and they would like to pursue this, is to get somehow glimpses of Zircon, which is not really, well, in all sense, pure strategic weapon. And this is totally understandable from the American point of view. And when I state that the United States lost the arms race, I mean it. And when you look at the military and especially nuclear potentials, or basically carriers which can carry both, nuclear and conventional weapons, the United States is not even in the same league. And this is the admission of this huge loss. It's a colossal loss, which actually makes the framework so clear, for the modern geopolitical developments. And there is another news which also kind of puts, fits extremely well into the overall picture, because basically a week ago, before I go to the week ago, about several months ago, Defense News, it was on April 28, they say, Russia conducted its first flight test of the RS-28 Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile on April 20th. The launch represents a notable milestone in Russia's ongoing nuclear modernization, designed to hold the American homeland at risk, underscoring the importance of modernizing the U.S. nuclear triad and associated nuclear command, control, and communication systems. So yeah, it was basically in April. Here it is 2 weeks ago. It's confirmed by the chief designer and developer of Sarmat. Sarmat is now in serial production and is arriving to the frontline units. And what is RS-28 Sarmat? As the Vladimir Degtyary, who is basically the guy who developed this missile, and his basically group, he says that the Sarmat will basically satisfy Russia's security and deterrent for the next 50 years. And I cannot emphasize enough, and Sarmat is only one of the things, but it's because Degtyary, who is the chief designer, stated this about a week or so ago about the start of the serial production, so you have to know that actually it wasn't the serial production for some time now. And Sarmat, yes, it's an immense missile. There's nothing even comparable anywhere in the world in development, let alone in serial production. Official range of this missile is called 18,000+ kilometers. So basically it can fly half of the length of the equator, but obviously there are some other hints that it is much longer than that. And yes, the ability of this missile and its energy and its energetic capacity is such that it can fly basically around the world. I mean, over North Pole or over South Pole, or by means of non-polar trajectories. That completely disables basically and devalues whatever the anti-ballistic missile system United States ever had. And there is no simply defense against this. Plus, of course, Sarmat can carry up to 10 avant-garde hypersonic maneuvering, basically, vehicles. So when you look at this, yeah, this is just one of the weapons. And then you begin to put together all those things which follow them, including the development of the combat laser technology and things of this nature. And suddenly, oh my God, of course they want to inspect. And that's the only thing they want to. They need to collect any kind of the intelligence because, as I already stated, United States not only now lacking in terms of the ballistic missiles, in terms of the nuclear deterrent, it also is just generation or two behind in the development of the supersonic cruise missiles, let alone hypersonic missiles, which are not even near anywhere, and there will be nothing like comparable to Zircon anti-ship and land attack missile in U.S. arsenal probably ever. I mean, so you have this serious situation there, and that of course basically shapes or defines the framework of the geopolitical rivalry, and this is what drives really this titanic, and tectonic shift in geopolitics and multipolarity. But this is not only just that. There are other things which have to be understood, how West is desperate to the point, for example, like Pope Francis makes this thing, he basically insults whole nations. And of course, Russians reacted to this like, how can you even react on that when he talks about the Buryats and Chechens and other, people in the most racial and, improper manner. But you know what, this is the modern West today, so what can we say? I leave entirely up to you to make your own conclusions and judgment on what Mr. Francis said, but he said it, the same as James Clapper stated that basically genetically Russians are not exactly normal people because they are forced by, to penetrate, subvert, and things of this nature. And nobody even cared in the West because, especially Western media, they hate Russian gods. Probably because they understand how low they are as humans. So, and that's important thing. But, and as I constantly state, and again, as I will repeat it again, the issue right now is that United States, I'm not talking about Europe, it's a completely it's a basket case basically in terms of military technological development, but the United States lost the arms race. Many people do not even understand how badly it lost. It's not just by points, it's in some fields as the knockout. And of course, when you have this situation, you need to spin things to make some people, think, that things are not that bad and something is developing really well. Well, of course, what else? The United States was always big on the air power. And hey, make no mistake, the United States at some point of time produced some actually outstanding combat aircraft and outstanding command and control systems. So now they report, oh my gosh, we have the rollout of the Northrop B-21, new stealth bomber. It should be on the 2nd of December, I think so. It's going to be, of course, a huge PR issue, and they call it the 6th generation, which is complete bullshit. No, all this generation thing is it's basically what Northrop Grumman, I believe, invented that. So, but point is, okay, they want to roll out this B-21, which already they praise, although it's not really flying prototype yet. It really exists as some kind of, first hull, and it's quite a long way before the first flight, let alone IOC, which is initial operational capability, let alone of getting deployed into the first line units. Obviously, we know that. But look at this. This is what the designers of this B-21 thing say and explain why it is the 6th generation. It's not the 6th generation because it's a separate issue. But the point is he explained that B-21's advancements in stealth capabilities, use of open system architecture, that immediately, any modern advanced aircraft has that, and inclusion of, and here it comes, joint all-domain command and control technologies to share data across platforms will make it the first of the 6th generation systems. So the bomber, based on these criteria, they call it the 6th generation. Well, GADC-2 is the Pentagon's effort to connect sensors to shooter across domains of warfare. So what is this Pentagonese mambo jumbo? What this JDACM, whatever? Let me show you what this is. It's the same old net-centric warfare. However, if, as you can see yourself, Congressional Research Service says that basically the issue with JADC2 is this, that Joint All-Domain Command and Control is the Department of Defense concept to connect sensors from all of the military services, Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Navy, and Space Force into a single network. Okay, it's the same old net-centric warfare, which allows you, in this case, because of the very narrow development of the service proper or proprietary networks, to connect them all together. Wow! I'm being sarcastic, of course. That's how it should have been done from the get-go. But look at this. They basically, Congressional Research Service explains that the future operating environment articulated by NDS, the NDS Commission, and other sources describes how potential adversaries have developed sophisticated anti-access, area denial, A2AD capabilities. These capabilities include electronic warfare, cyber weapons, long-range missiles, and advanced air defenses. U.S. competitors have pursued A2AD capabilities as means of countering traditional military advantages, such as the ability to project power and improving their ability to win quick, decisive engagements. Here we have to immediately start asking questions. Guys, you know what? Everybody obviously sometimes exaggerates, and it's nothing, it's pretty much universal. But what are they talking about? Are they talking about winning some engagements with who? Well, I can tell you with whom. Countries like Afghanistan and Iraq. Basically, the whole network and the way it will be reconfigured and basically plugged into across the services, Army, Navy, U.S. Air Force, is still not enough to fight the enemy with the weapon systems. And net-centric warfare, which is across domains there from the inception, like Russia. I'm not sure about China. I mean, I cannot say anything about that. But then again, what many people forget all the time is that even if you have a network, it's worth nothing if there is no deadly and highly effective weapon in the end of it. Sensor without weapon doesn't mean that much. Yeah, it can warn you, but you have to have the weapon which comes together with the sensor and, so to speak, command and control system, which allows you to use weapons. And what we hear today, and this is in the news, and again, hey, I'm not going to elaborate on it. Many people do. I mean, why should I basically do some additional elaboration when you can go already to the sources which I told you? Read it online, that Pentagon is basically in panic. It doesn't have weapons. So, and of course, we're talking about now the fact that some people say, oh, they want to, NATO, which is United States, NATO by itself, Europe is nothing. So they speak about the possibility of providing Ukraine with the Patriot Pack 3. Of course, it's just talk. They will never provide it for a simple reason, because Pack 3 failed dismally together with the French Crotal, for example, in Saudi Arabia a few years ago, when it basically didn't shoot down a single thing. And we're talking about slow drones by Houthis. So, and when you look at this is the thing. They don't need another reputational disaster, and for people just pointing fingers and laughing that Stingers do not work, Javelins do not work, those M777 howitzers just basically, become non-operational basically after like, I don't know how many shots. So it's just like, yeah, guys, let's take a look seriously. Yeah, you can still go and kick the ass of some African or Arab country, maybe, but it's not even serious. I mean, it was all about, smoke and mirrors from the get-go, and now when we have the situation that they contemplate, as always, to provide, Ukraine with something, including those ridiculous things with putting the GBU bombs, gliding bombs on the rocket engine and shooting it 150 kilometers or 150 miles, I don't know, towards Russia. Well, try, see what happens. So, and that is why I need to constantly remind people that while we talk about the fact that, and again, the losses are catastrophic for armed forces of Ukraine, we have to remind, you have to be reminded constantly, it's a larger struggle, it's a larger battle, it's a huge battle, and you can listen to my and Anya's interview yesterday, where we have been talking about the issue of the monetary finances, real economy. And as you can say yourself, if Europe wants to commit complete suicide, basically, you know what, let them. Nothing could be done about this. And I sadly can only refer you to the to a few years ago wonderful article by Dmitry Orlov and Alexander Rogers, sadly only in Russian, also wrote an excellent piece about the game theory and how it doesn't apply realistically to the modern world, because it basically assumes only the fact that, you know, the players are rational. West is not rational. They are irrational, and that is why it takes so much care of Russia not to aggravate situation with people who are literally mad. They are insane. And this is what I wanted to tell you today. And as always, guys, those who like what I do, please support me on Patreon and buy me a bottle of Jack or what coffee. I do drink coffee. And subscribe to my channel. And you know what? Have a nice rest of your week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.